Welcome all you lovely people to another review. Today I will be reviewing Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is a 2018 musical romantic comedy film directed by Ol Parker with a screenplay by Ol Parker and a story by Katherine Johnson, Richard Curtis and Ol Parker, based on the musical of the same name by Katherine Johnson. Both a prequel and a sequel, the plot is set after the events of the first film, but also feature flashbacks to 1979 to tell the story of how Donna came to be on the island of Kalahari and trying to figure out who fathered her daughter Sophie. I'm going to start off with all the negatives so I can end on a lighter topic, and also because I have a lot I want to say. I am utterly gobsmacked by the number of inconsistencies between this film and the previous one. There is so little that they got right that whenever someone wasn't singing, my nerves were being tugged at, meaning singing and dancing was a much welcome relief. Let's go through the errors. In the first film, at the very beginning, Sophie reads her mother's journal and tells the audience verbatim who her mother met and when, even giving us dates. We learn first Donna met Sam, played by Pierce Brosnan and Jeremy Irvine, then Bill, played by Stellan Skarsgård and Josh Dillon, and then Harry, played by Colin Firth and Hugh Skinner. According to the journal, Sophie reads, Sam was the first person to take Donna to the island of Kalahari, indicating they met on the mainland, and it was while there that he informs Donna that he is engaged and leaves. The events of the first film also reveal that Sam was the one who came up with the idea for Donna's hotel, having drawn it on the back of a menu, and when he met Donna, it became their dream to open a villa on the island. In the events of this movie, Donna meets Sam third and meets him on the island of Kalahari itself during the rain when she is in need of assistance. There they fall in love, begin living together, and Donna decides she wants to live and start a life there and begs him to do the same. Later she discovers a photo in his journal and asks if he is engaged, to which he admits, and then gets kicked out of the house and off the island. This significantly differs from what we had been told initially in almost every way. The only thing that is the same is how in the first film Sam tells Donna he came back but was told that she was with another man and so he left. This moment is shown in this movie and is quite comical in all honesty. In the first film, Sophie, reading the journal, tells us that the second man her mother met was Bill the following month. She met him on the mainland and at some point he rents a motorboat and Donna takes him to the island of Kalahari that Sam had introduced her to just a couple weeks prior. We also learned during this film that Bill had a great aunt named Sophia who lived on the mainland, which would explain him being there. We then learned that not only is Sophie named after her, but due to Donna taking care of her in her final years, the woman left her inheritance to Donna, which was how Donna was able to build the hotel. However, in the events of this film, while she does meet him second, in this version of events she meets him at a pier and he happily takes her on his boat to the island she is hoping to visit. After he leaves her there, he comes back again after her fling with Sam, and it is then that they have an intimate moment. Not only does this also conflict with the original story, but also there is no mention of his tattoos. Even during the first film, Bill tells Donna that he has a boat, to which she is excited and surprised to learn, which would strongly indicate that he never had one before, so the concept of Donna and Bill meeting on his boat doesn't work in either scenario. Plus, this film paints Bill as a sailor, and the first film tells us that he is a worldly adventurer on both land and sea and writes books about his adventures. Then that brings us to Harry. During the first film we learn Harry met Donna in Paris, and from there she took him to the island of Kalahari and he happily followed, even buying her a guitar that she kept for all these years. He is described and illustrated as a spontaneous rebel who now lives a boring, structured life. During the first film, Harry also informs everyone that Donna was the only woman he ever loved and the last woman he was ever with, as he later realized he was gay. This would all indicate that Harry had been with other women. Now, while she met him last in the first film, she meets him first in this one, and instead of being a spontaneous rebel, he is the same dull, predictable man who is even more uptight, because it turns out he is a virgin, one who loses his virginity to Donna. Aside from the meeting in Paris part, everything else is once again completely different. The losing of the virginity is a ridiculous touch, and they never even have him go to the island. He doesn't get further than the mainland, and that is just because he stalked Donna there without her knowledge and he never gave her the guitar. Every character in the current timeline is written and cast as exactly the same, only younger, which is illogical. People grow and change, and these characters have, but in this film they are portrayed as being the same in their youth as they are in their later years, which just isn't right. The errors don't end there, although I wish to God they did. In the first film, Donna's friends Tanya and Rosie, played by Christine Baranski and Julie Walters, are surprised and amused when, after they sing Chiquitita, are told by Donna that she never told them the full story about Sophie's paternity, admitting she only told them about Sam, but in truth, she didn't know who the father was because she had slept with 2 other men around the same time. During the events of this film, however, Tanya and Rosie travel to Kalahari, and while there, not only meet 2 of the men, but are informed of the whole story from beginning to end, meaning once again neither stories match. During this film, Rosie falls for Bill and wants nothing more than to have a life with him, but is jealous that he and Donna are hooking up, while in the first film, that was the first time they met, and Rosie for the first time realized maybe she had met someone she wanted to be with instead of continuing to be a lone wolf. This film depicts Rosie as a woman who eats like a pig out of depression, while the first film has her as an accomplished author and cook. The character of Tanya in this film looks identical to the Tanya of the first film, which makes no sense simply because they kept talking about all the plastic surgery she had in the first film, so if anything, the 2 versions should look nothing alike. In fact, had they looked nothing alike, it would have been more comical. There is never a mention of Bill's great aunt, instead she is merely a random older woman who gives her farmhouse to Donna for no reason. That brings us to our last error, Cher. During the first film, Donna's mother is described as a strict Catholic and a prude who disowned her daughter after she found out she had become pregnant out of wedlock. In this film, Donna's mother is neither a Catholic or a prude, but instead a famous singer who lives in Vegas and is too busy with her career to bother with her family, which makes the scene in the first film where Donna tells Sophie how her mother kicked her out and wiped her hands of her when she found out she was pregnant entirely pointless. I cannot believe the number of contradictions in this movie and the scale of them. They're not even slightly subtle, and it had me in a constant state of annoyance. Even worse was that I saw them coming from just the trailer alone. I was hoping I'd be wrong, but turns out the trailer gave everything away. Everything you think the trailer tells us, it tells us. I don't feel the scenes where the movie switches timelines was done well. There are perhaps 2 moments where the flashback coincides with the current events, so it makes sense to show that scene at that time, but everything else is irrelevant to what is going on. They are just placed there sporadically, meaning we're not being told a story within a story or a story that mirrors another story. We are merely being told 2 different stories at the same time, and it's slightly annoying. Even my mother didn't know the flashbacks were flashbacks. She was perplexed until I explained it to her. Having said all that, I do think the performances were fun and full of energy. I love both stories being told. I just wish they were accurate and blended. Some genuine moments made me cry, especially at the end of the movie. I think everyone does a terrific job and the cast all work great together. Cher is such a fabulous addition to the film. You can't go wrong with Cher. Although I don't know what was with some of her costumes, I think when it comes to the ABBA-inspired costumes, the first film did it better, in that they were more in your face but in a well done way. These new ones look just a bit tackier. All costumes for scenes in the 70s look like very over-the-top artificial 70s. They didn't feel realistic. The music is, of course, a huge plus. I love ABBA, so for me, you can never go wrong when you include ABBA songs. It was nice this time around to hear some songs I didn't know, but I was still able to enjoy them and hear that distinct ABBA sound. Once again, the songs selected were perfect and fit their respective scenes. It always amazes me how well the lyrics describe each scene, and it makes me appreciate ABBA's songs even more because each one does tell a story and has something lots of people can relate to. Not to mention, it was really great that both Benny and Bjorn had cameos in the movie. That's still fun. There is a particular scene where the camera moves to blend 2 scenes together and then back, and it did it so seamlessly. I loved and appreciated that moment. I am quite unsure of how to rate this movie. On the one hand, I think as a prequel, it is an absolute fail in every sense of the word, but as a sequel, it is terrific. And if you look at it as its own movie instead of a continuation, it is also terrific, just a tad out of sync. So I think I'm going to break my rating into 3 categories, which I have never done before. It's rather fun when a movie makes me create new rating systems. As a prequel, I give this movie a rating of 1 out of 5. As a sequel, I give it a 4 out of 5, and as its own movie, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Nowhere near as good as the first, which I enjoyed tremendously, and it's not a necessary sequel, but it still has some funny moments and a lot to sing and dance to. But before I go, allow me to leave you with Ashleigh's alcoholic tip of the day. My alcoholic tip of the day is to take a shot every time someone jumps into the water. Trust me, between this movie and the previous one, you would be thoroughly drunk off your ass from the number of times this happens. That is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Until next time.